And good afternoon, everybody. This is Arch. It's time for the show. Let's be reasonable, folks. It has been, wow, what, over a week and a few days since I did my last video. We watched the Harris Trump debate last Tuesday. Today is Wednesday. So a week and a day after the debate. And I got to tell you, well, I'm here to talk about the polling tonight. But before we talk about the polling, just some of my takes from the debate. Look, I'm an independent. So when I look for questions to be answered, and I kind of score the questions answered versus the ones not answered. And I can tell you just anecdotally, Trump answered more questions, although some of the answers did leave much to the imagination when you consider that some of the answers consisted of, I have a concept of a plan, even though I've had 9 years to craft a plan. And everybody just remember when he was in office, they were touting around this big old book, right? That supposedly was the plan, which at glance, someone had noticed that it was a book full of blank pages. So those guys are always playing games. So you can't take their word at face value. You generally have to look and see what they're actually doing. All right. So he answered more questions. Answers were suspect. When it came to the overall debate, my this is my take. Much better than the Biden Trump debate. Okay, it showed that Harris has presidential timber. Okay. It also showed that when it comes to really sifting through the economic message uh, from either side, remember, and I'm independent. Okay. I'm just calling it how I see it. From either side, I'm here to tell you I'm not impressed. Not impressed at all. I get that Harris wants $25,000 for first-time homeowners. I get that. I get she wants a child tax credit up to $6,000. I get it. She also wants small businesses to have what is it, like $50,000 or something. I get these things. All of those pieces are different things that will require some legislation. And if you have a split House and Senate, that legislation will not stand the light of day. Republicans will not vote on it regardless. Okay, so that being the case, hard message to sell. On the other side, when you look at Trump, you see the fact that, well, he just the other day, yesterday, I think he was talking about passing off 200% tariffs and they won't sell that stuff here. Well, guess what? That means that there will be a lot of people who obviously won't be receiving goods, or there'll be fewer things on the shelves, right? Because the goods won't be coming here. And you got to remember, you got when it comes to tariffs, there's three ways that they pan out. I shouldn't even say they. Yeah, three ways they pan out. Either you're telling the distributor, in this case, let's say it's coming out of China, you're telling the distributor to take a hit on their distribution costs. It's not going to happen. And in fact, we saw through phase one of the China U.S. trade war, right, that the phase one deal didn't have any such agreements where China had decided to take less in the distribution, right? So it will fall on um, the supplier here in the United States and the consumer. The supplier is going to pass that off to the business. The business is going to pass off some costs to the consumer. So those are the three areas, and the way it will traditionally fall will be the consumer that will end up uh, getting the brunt of that. Now, the business will pay a little bit more in taxes, right? I don't think they want that. So anyway, so those are your two, economic themes that you see. I don't see enough meat on the bone um, with Harris when it comes to her economic. It needs to be tighter. Not only do I want to hear the impacts of high tariffs like that in a low tax environment, because there will be some impacts. Okay, so there's no doubt about that. That will be some impact. And remember, historically, when we had tariffs as high as 50% in certain cases, right? We also were in a high tax environment. So he ultimately will be yielding us to a high business tax environment that will ruin businesses in the United States and also the consumer. There's only so much that they're going to be able to pass off to the American people at one time. So it's going to be a steady deluge of increases in prices over a projected period of time. All right. So now the protectionist strategies may work for certain businesses for a particular limited period of time. Remember, we put taxes on steel or tariffs on steel. That worked for about a year and a half or 2 years, and then that chicken came home and roost. Right. So now, and the other thing I'm here to tell you, I mean, I talk to my brothers and we have anecdotal conversations, and and I shouldn't even say it's anecdotal because they're on the ground experiencing some of these issues. And one was talking about um, working for corporation where they have to buy uniforms, and they were getting uniforms from Taiwan, and they were costing, let's just say, $25. Now they're being made in America, right? Wave the flag, made in America, but a uniform now costs like $80. So got to consider that. So made in America, but it's going to cost you a whole lot more. Takes a bite of it. So there are certain jobs that can come to the United States, come home, right? But then there are other jobs. I got to tell you, you need to just pony up, take that hit, because there's pieces, and that's the reason why the current administration they're looking at high end jobs that they want to move back here. Okay, there's a method to that particular madness. You may not agree with it, but look, I've said this before. What the Chinese are doing, they're doing with a workforce of like 750 million people. I mean, do the math. I mean, you have a total population in the United States of 330 million people. Okay. So, no way in hell you're going to be able to compete with that type of output. I don't care how much faster you can do it here. You can't compete. The price point will not be right. Okay, so anyway, enough about the economic message, but I'm just here to tell you I need more from Harris in that particular front. Now, when it comes to the polling, people, when it comes to the polling, here's what we see. It's setting up. I mean, this whole thing is getting to a point where it's starting to get interesting. I told you, after you get past Labor Day, things start to become more focused, and that's what we see. So as we call the race today, I mean, it's looking, you know, like a race that shows, Harris being +2, right? Harris is +2. That's the national polling. So she's +2. And when you look at the spread, I'm here to tell you, look, good number. If you look at it in comparison, they give us, and this is from Real Clear Politics, realclearpolling.com, right? If you look at the numbers historically in 2020, at this time, September 18th of 2020, Biden was 6.2 better than Donald Trump. Okay. In September of 2016, this time, Clinton was 0.9. So it was a tight race in 2016. So to me, there's probably more of an apt comparison to 2016 versus comparison to 2020. All right. So now +2 sets up to be a different type of race, right? Still one in the ground game. Okay. That means it's a turnout race at this point. Now, I would like for her to be at +3, +4 to be comfortable and sleeping at night, right? But we're not there. Now, I can say this. Look, folks, if you look at the real clear numbers, once Trump or Biden got out of the race, Trump was leading 47.5 to 45.9. You see, there was a flip over on the 4th, the 4th of August. At that point, Harris is up, right? 47.3 to 46.9. And that gap has started to widen a little bit, right? We got the DNC, right? She got a bump out of there. So momentum was carrying her. I will tell you, going into the debate, Now the debate took place on the 11th, right? So on the going into the debate on the 10th, actually things had tightened. We were at 1.1 when it came to the spread. Okay. And after the debate, we see that Harris is enjoying another bump. More, I'm tell you, she's enjoying that bump only because of the narrative put out by the pundits, which she was able to do. She was able to get Donald Trump to, well, not only embellish, but continue to lie. But his lies got even more, I guess you would say, ridiculous. And I heard, I guess today, when it came to the lady over in Aurora, she ended up finding her cat in the basement or whatever the heck. I don't know. I mean, no, that was a lady in Springfield. She found her cat in the basement. So, false alarm. Nobody's eating cats and dogs over in Springfield. But anyway, uh, so when you look at this race, look at this. I'm looking at this poll here. At the end here, Trump is actually, let's see, um, 49.140. So we're at 2. It looks like there's a gap up. So this race may start to narrow yet again. We'll kind of keep an eye on that. The last gap I saw was a gap down. Now it will look like we're gapping up yet again. And that is as of the 18th. So as of today. So there's some movement that's showing Harris actually getting stronger, but Trump is at 47.4. He's getting a little stronger as well. We could have some more, I guess you could say, not necessarily. We'll see where we are. If you look at this race, I want you to look at this, folks. I mean, this takes us all the way back to the very beginning, right? Look at Trump's numbers. Trump has a ceiling. It's like 48%. He has a hard time getting above 48%. Harris right now is at 49.1, 49.4%. So she's broken that ceiling. And putting some, again, since she took the lead, momentum has actually carried her to where she is right now. Again, I say this and stress it. You must have a better economic message. And I'll throw I'll throw you a bone. I mean, uh, if you look over the last 3 presidents, all right, let's make it 4. Let's say Clinton, Bush, Obama, Trump. All right. So Clinton hands Bush a great economy. Bush torpedoes it by the end. Right. Obama gets the lucky lady. Right. He gets an economy that's on its heels, on its knees. Right. And he hands Trump a decent economy. I can't say it was the best economy. I can say it showed steady growth. Now, we can have arguments about the growth rate. I'm okay with that because should we be happy with 1.5%, 2% growth? Well, no, I don't think so. But given the circumstances that came out of 2008, 2009, or 7, 8, 9, right? Well, it is what it is. But the jobs that he started to bring back during that period of time were manufacturing jobs, and that's key. So they knew back then, in order for this country to really make it, in order for us to continue to do, we need to bring some portion of this manufacturing back to the United States. The other thing that they knew during the Obama administration was that you cannot continue to do business with China because you cannot trust the Chinese. So that was the whole push, if you recall, to TPP, the Trans-Pacific Partnership, right? That Clinton said that she was for 1 minute and then said she was against the next minute. Again, I'm hit, and it's so strange to me because Democrats end up stepping on their own message too. This is an easy conversation to have, people. Look, again, I tell you, 750 million people over in China producing 60% of the goods that come into the United States. You're a population of 330 million. You want the high end jobs to come back to the States. Those low end jobs, if China can't be trusted, then build up the TPP rim, those Pacific Rim countries. Build them up. It only makes sense. China should be your biggest, not China, Taiwan should be your biggest hub. That was TPP. But also remember, Republicans torpedoed that. So, as much as they hated the Chinese, they hated TPP more. That makes no sense, right? Makes no sense at all. Anyway, the message needs to be better defined. That's all I'm saying. Right, folks. So look, here we are. I don't see much movement when it comes to the other battleground states. We're still within that tiny margin of error. At this point, folks are paying attention, right? People are paying attention. However, Harris is getting the benefit of that right now. I will say this thing can still turn. And it's so close. I said, if you get escape velocity, we don't have that yet. I tell you, if you come to the American people with an economic package that they can wrap their brains around and see anecdotally or, just figuratively, just they can figure this out for themselves, right? If you could do that, that helps you. Now you start getting a little bit more velocity. Now your spread is +3, +4. If you get the +4, +5, maybe I'm able to sleep a little bit easier. However, I'm still here to tell you that the race is still going to come down to about 150,000 votes spread out between the battleground states. It's just where we are. And why is it that way? The right-wing echo chamber has done, I think, a masterful job, just a masterful job of teaching people how not to research. So, all right, folks, look, that's all I got for you today. We're at 17 minutes. Hope you enjoyed this. Like and subscribe. Give me your thoughts on the other side. A lot more to talk about in the days closing out this week. Still need to talk about these assassination attempts on Donald Trump. You know what? I mean, I'm not surprised. But I'll get into that conversation some other day. Folks, hope you enjoyed it. See you next time.